I'm like, I'll get in the middle and be double stuff, so I might include that. I hope so. I like that sort of that. I like it rough. There you go. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You are doing the Lord's work. Never change. Thank you. Great river. Very lucky. Thank you. Thank you.
We're in the big blind holding ace-king 6-3, suited in spades to our ace. Our friend the Chicky Brit is under the gun, and he's straddled to 10. Middle position calls, we call, and the Cheeky Brit checks.
Oh, getting back on the vlog. Maybe.
We're going 3 ways to a flop, which comes ace-king 2 rainbow. We check to disguise our top 2 pair, and it winds up checked around. The turn is the 2 of spades, and once again we check. Now the Cheeky Brit bets 15. We may have let him catch up since he can't have any 4 cards in his hand, having been in the straddle. The limper calls, and we make the call as well. The river is the 8 of diamonds, we check, and it's checked down.
2 pair.
Shows 2 pair. Shows 2 pair.
That's 2 pair. That's a 2 pair, my friend.
Get out in the vlog.
We got him. We got the Cheeky Brit. We got him. Cheeky Brit money.
How man are good.
Woo! Easy game.
I'm drawing dead.
We let him get there.
I'm betting drawing dead.
Thank you. Cheeky Brit money coming your way.
We're on the button holding king-queen, 9-9, suited in clubs to our king. There's 2 limpers, and then a player makes it 20. There's 1 caller, we make the call. The small blind folds, the big blind calls, and we wind up going 6 ways to a flop. The flop comes down 10-6-5 with 2 clubs. It's check to me, and while we have the draw to the second nut flush plus some backdoor straight potential, we opt to take our free card. This serves 2 purposes. One, we disguise that we have the flush draw, since a lot of people would bet with that draw in our position. So if we hit it, they may not believe it. And it also avoids us getting check raised if someone has a wrap straight draw they're lying in the weeds with, waiting to check raise any flop. The turn is the 6 of diamonds. Once again, it's checked all the way around. The river is the queen of spades, and now there's a bet of 75. We've improved to top pair second kicker on this river, and we feel we have enough showdown equity to make the call. Unfortunately for us, our opponent has us crushed, turning over ace 6, 5-4, suited in clubs to his ace.
6s. Let's get the 5.
Let's get the 6. You got me there.
You might be slow.
Nice one. Oh, that, I wish I would. Oh, thank God clubs. Thank God clubs didn't come. Whew. Nice one. Nice one.
We're in the cutoff holding the very pretty ace-queen, 10-8, double suited in clubs and spades. The $10 straddle is on. There's 1 caller behind us. We make the call as well. And the button can't help himself and makes it 50. The small blind chuckles and said that was his next move as he makes the call. The straddle and limper both call. We call as well, so we're going 5 ways to a flop, which comes down queen 7-2 with 2 clubs. Surprisingly, the small blind leads for the pot of 255. When it folds to us, we've got top, and the nut flush draw, plus some backdoor straight potential. We repot to 1,020, and our opponent in the small blind shoves for 750 total. We agree to run it twice, and the boards run out 4 king with 2 hearts, and jack queen completing a rainbow on the second board. Our opponent turns over 10-9, 7-6, suited in clubs to his 9. And this is why I absolutely love PLO. On the flop, our opponent stacked off with less than 22% equity, and we're going to scoop this pot of over $1,700. The $10 straddle is on. It's been re-raised to 30. We're in the cutoff holding ace-queen, 9-5, double suited in hearts and diamonds. We come along, the small blind and big blind both call, and we're going 4 ways to a flop. The flop is king 6-2 rainbow. This is not the flop we're looking for. However, the original raiser slows down, and we get to see a free turn card, which is very nice, falling the jack of hearts. Now the big blind all of a sudden leads into us for $100. We've got the nut flush draw, and a gut shot draw to Broadway, making this an easy call. We go heads up to a river. Poker Jeezus about to nut all over this bitch! The river is the 10 of spades. That couldn't be a more perfect river card. It'll be hard for our opponent to put us on runner backdoor Broadway. Our hand should look more like a flush draw that missed. He checks, and we bet 250. He thinks for a while before showing a set of deuces and laying it down. We just show him our 9-5 of diamonds.
Thank you, sir.
The session has been going well. We bought in for $1,000, and we're up to around $2,000 now when we're dealt ace-ace, 3-2, suited in clubs to our ace in early position. The $10 straddle is on, and there's a raise to $35. We make the call. One player behind us calls, and then the next player, a guy who's been complaining about how he lost $45,000 sports betting recently, re-raises it to $150. Two players call, and now it's time to drop the hammer. Why, you ask?
Why? Because fuck them, that's why.
We announce pot, making it $800 to go, although I think it should actually be $820, but close enough. The original raiser plays with his chips and then just cold calls, and we're going heads up to a flop with almost $2,000 in it. The flop is 10-7-5 rainbow. This is not a great flop for aces, but our opponent re-raised pre-flop, so it doesn't have to be a great flop for him either. He might have decent kings or a double-suited Broadway rundown, but with almost $2,000 in the pot and our having half a pot size bet behind, we're going with it. We do have backdoor clubs and a wheel draw as backup as well. We shove for $1,020. He calls and agrees to run it twice. We are playing for a massive pot of close to $4,000. The boards run out 2-6 and 4-5 rainbow. Our opponent announces a straight on both boards. And then he turns over 9-6-4-3 double suited. Looking at the equities pre-flop, we had 58%. On the flop, we have under 47, so still relatively coin flipping. After winning this pot, our opponent tells the entire table how we're all boring. I'm sorry we all don't have $45,000 to blow on sports betting, guy. Some of us have 3 cats to feed.
That's my double-suited king.
Deuce of hearts, 6 of spades.
Great.
He's got a straight, of course it is.
Great.
Oh, 4 of hearts. What the fuck? Wait a minute, do I have a straight? No, I don't. What's he going?
Even you have a straight, he still beat you.
Wow.
He's gonna beat
Yeah,
you.
no, he's got, yeah, I see.
He's gonna beat you.
Well, that last hand was fun, wasn't it? I went from being up $1,000 to now being stuck 1,000, with the maniac on my left sitting on close to 9,000, and a few other maniacs in the game with 4,000 to 5,000 each. I decided to give them the Rolf Slop Boom treatment. I can't afford to put $9,000 into play in a single session, but I can buy in for the minimum of $200 and hopefully enjoy watching one of them lose thousands while I'm short stacking. It's finding those little joys in life that really make this all worthwhile. The straddle is on, there's one caller, we're in early position, and we call holding ace-ace, queen-6, double suited to both aces, in spades and hearts. There's a couple of callers behind us, and we go 5 ways to a flop, which comes down Jack 10-7 with 2 hearts. When it checks to us, we've got the overpair, the nut flush draw, and a gut shot draw to Broadway, and we bet $50. Surprisingly, behind us, we get re-raised to $175. It folds back to us, and we get our tiny stack in and agree to run it twice. The boards run out the king of clubs and king of hearts, and then the 10 of clubs and 4 of clubs. Our opponent reveals ace-queen, 9-8, having flopped the nuts. Looking at the equities, we managed to get a little bailout here. My opponent and I will tie 11% of the time, but we only win 41% to his 48%. This time around, we're going to chop it up.
Oh, he has ace queen. Yeah, I got the flush. Huh? I got the flush.
Oh, I didn't think that.
You said that now. You're right. It's still a challenge.
Nice one. Thank you.
We're in early position holding ace-king, jack-10 suited in hearts to our ace. There's one caller, and we make the call. 2 players behind us call, the big blind checks, and we're going 5 ways to a flop, which comes down king 10-6 with 2 diamonds. When it checks to us, if we were deeper stacked, we'd likely check back for pot control from early position. While we do have top 2 pair and a gut shot to Broadway, we don't even block the diamond draw here. But given we're pretty shallow stack compared with others at the table, we're fine fast playing in this spot, and we lead for $25. The cutoff and the big blind both call. The turn is the 9 of hearts. When it's checked to us, we do need to worry about the turn bringing in 2 potential straights, although we do block one of them. Still, with a shallow stack and no diamond on the turn, which was our primary concern, I'm fine continuing here rather than risking someone getting there on the river with a free card to their flush draw. Again, if we were deeper stacked, I'd be looking to slow down and exercise pot control more in this situation, but since we are shallow stacked, we can play more aggressive in this spot without a ton of risk. We lead for the full pot of 105, and fortunately they both fold and we'll take this one down.
Alright, mayhem is ensuing here at the lodge. We got a big pot brewing. Lots of action. 1 player all in. Oh wait, 2 players all in.
You got about 470.
Some action still left.
You got a green in there too.
But we got like 1585 between 2 players all in pre-flop. And they still have more money to bet after that. Plus 2 all in players on the side.
Yeah, 470.
Gotta make this dealer work today. Gotta make him work. Oh my god. I don't know who to root for. I love you all.
470.
I'm rooting for a 4-way chop.
Now hold on. Can you get the pots back, please? We got money on the side.
I'm moving this one to 685. 685.
Ooh, that's right there. That's the nuts. Got him. They won't no-hit him. Oh my god, I hope that hits. I really do. I want to see it.
At 430 on the back end?
All right, I'm living vicariously through all of you.
Yeah.
There we go, the nuts. Oh, there's a... Oh, I can't see.
All in? All in? Once or twice. Whatever you guys call. I'm always twice. So if he's once for the main, can we go twice for the side? For the side, yeah. For the side only or for the whole thing?
No, you can do it for the side. Please only with the
Always twice. Always. Main pot is only one? So would you like to go twice for our sides? Yes? He's twice for the sides as well.
Here's the main.
Straight.
Three-way.
I got a straight on the...
Three-way for the second pot.
Straight.
Get a flush.
Let's do the outside pots first.
Wait, let him do the side pots, and then because you're the main, you scoop them.
I have a... I got an 8-7 straight, 8-7 straight for the side pot, for the first side pot, between me and the big side. 8-7, 8-7. I scoop the side. That whole thing comes over here.
Wait, does he?
Now
You
this
have
pot
a?
first. Me and him are splitting it.
Hold on. No.
You have a straight only on one board.
I see it. You got a bunch, yeah.
Nine's full,
And then they chop the main. Nice one.
This is all yours over here.
You'll get the main, yeah.
Oh yeah, he only goes once for the main, right? Yeah. So yeah.
I told you you're winning.
The $20 straddle is on, and we're in the small blind holding ace king, queen 4, suited in clubs to our ace. There's one caller and then a raise to 95, and action folds to us. With a suited hand and 3 coordinated Broadway cards, plus the 4 working with my ace to make the wheel, not to mention the absolutely insane hands we've been being shown at this table, we're going for it, and we shove all in for $350. It folds to the original raiser, who thinks for quite a while, but winds up laying it down.
Wow! Wow! He gives it up.
We're in the hijack and look down at Ace King 7-3 double suited in spades and diamonds. There's a raise to 15. We make the call. The cutoff calls. The button re-raises to 30. The small blind calls. The big blind calls. The original raiser calls. And we call. And the cutoff calls. So we're going 6 ways to a flop. The flop is pretty nice, falling Ace 8-4 with 2 spades. It checks to us and we've got top, the nut flush draw, and some backdoor straight potential. We could just lead here, but we expect the guy who min re-raised to 30 behind us to get squirrely on this board, so we'll let him lead the charge and then we'll stick our stack in. Hey, look at that. The trap has been sprung. We just know our man as the button bets 75 and gets 2 callers. We stick with the plan and shove all in for 400. The button cold calls, a player in the blind calls, and the third guy gets out of the way. With $1,455 in the pot, if we can scoop this, we'll be unstuck for the session, as we're in for $1,200 total. If we lose, we'll be stuck the full $1,200. Now all we can do is sit back and pray that Poker Jesus delivers us from evil and gives us a non-pairing spade that holds. You caught me just in time. I was about to use the bathroom. The turn is the beautiful 9 of spades giving us the nuts, and now we just need to hold. The river is the 2 of hearts, and hold we do.
Thank you, sir. You are doing the Lord's work. Never change.
We're nearing the end of our session, having announced when the blinds come around, we are bouncing. In the hijack, we're dealt ace-queen, queen-10 with 3 spades to our ace. The $20 straddle is on. We call, the cutoff calls, the button calls, the small blind calls, the big blind folds, the $10 straddle calls, and now the $20 straddle, the same guy who stacked us earlier for $2,000 with his 9-6-4-3 double suited, has since changed seats and is now on our right instead of our left. And he takes his option, raising it to $140. Once again, we're put to the test. We're nearing the end of our session. We're finally unstuck. Do we really want to risk it all here against this luck box?
You're goddamn right.
Look, we block aces. This guy has already gone ham with 9-6-4-3 double suited on us. Yeah, we block ourselves on the spades, which sucks, but all 4 of our cards work together for straights, and we have a high pair. If I'm going to live by this sword, you have to be willing to die by it too. We announce pot, raising it to $505. Everyone else folds except the maniac who just calls. There's almost $1,100 in this pot, and we have $900 behind. No, get out of here, Inez. Bad dealer. This flop comes out not very favorable. 9-6-5 rainbow. Extremely coordinated and definitely favoring this chucklehead's range way more than our own. Our opponent checks, and hey, I'll take a free card this time, thank you very much. The turn is the jack of clubs. He checks, and I think we should be shoving here now. He's checked both flop and turn, and we've just picked up an open-ended straight draw, plus we still have the overpair. If he had led into us, we'd be calling it off here anyway, so we might as well shove ourselves and protect our equity, but perhaps I've got those end-of-session jitters and I'm thinking about when he stacked me earlier, and like a bitch, I'd chicken out and just check it back.
Here you are, you little bitch. Next time, bet the turn.
The river falls, the 8 of diamonds, holy fucking shit. We just rivered the nuts. And now our opponent announces all in. I have to double check my cards in disbelief. Do I really have the stone cold fucking nuts here?
You're goddamn right.
We make the call. Our opponent shows down Jack-Jack 10-7 with no suits, having flopped a gutshot straight draw, then turned top set that he slow played, allowing me to catch up with the perfect river that gave me the nuts and him the second nut straight. Looking at the equities, pre-flop we were 74%. On the flop we're still 74%. But on the turn, the equities completely flipped, with our opponent having 75% equity. We were extremely fortunate to find the perfect river card that gave him the second nuts so we could get paid off.
Thank you. Great river. Very lucky. Thank you. You're doing the Lord's work. Thank you.
Maybe he may have folded. Maybe. But I was in the hand that was not going and you were not going.
You would have made the hand.
I just want to show this flop from a double board bomb pot we played before the session ended because it was quite an interesting flop.
We're on a double board bomb pot. We are under the gun. And we are 2, 4, 6, 7 handed. Alright, here we go. First board is Ace of Hearts, Ace of Diamonds, Queen of Clubs. Second board is, what the hell? Ace of Spades, Ace of Clubs, 7 of Diamonds. Check. That's impressive. That is impressive.
So for this session, we bought in for $1,000 to start. We ran it up to around $2,000, and then our aces got cracked by 9, 6, 4, 3 double suited, and we lost the entire $2,000. And so now we're stuck $1,000. We buy in for $200, and we spin that shit up, man. We bought in total for $1,200. We're in the session 4, and by the end of the session, we cash out for $2,856 for a profit of $1,600, and I don't even remember, $56. So a great result. Very happy with how it turned out. It was really difficult at the end of the session knowing that, I'm near the last hand. I've finally gotten unstuck. I'm in for $1,200. I'm at, 14, 1,500 or whatever. So it's a small profit, but it's a profit, and I've been fighting, and now I'm up against this maniac again, and I've got a pretty premium hand, and I'm getting it in again, and who knows, if he's going to crack me again and send me home stuck 1,200 instead of, up a few hundred. So luckily it worked out, and it turned a session that could have been a disaster into a really good one. So very happy with the result. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Viewer Linky609 commented on my last vlog, and he said that he is a Hold'em player who's looking to get into PLO, and he's asking if I had any tips, and of course I do. First off, Hold'em players are going to make a lot of fundamental mistakes in PLO when they're first starting out, and that's because a lot of them tend to look at PLO hands like they look at Hold'em hands. So when Hold'em players start making top and bottom pair, or you flop bottom set, or you make a straight but it's not the nut straight, or a full house but it's not the nut full house, or a flush but it's not the nut flush, in Hold'em you're probably okay. Usually, most of the time, those are going to be very strong hands. In PLO, it's exactly the opposite. PLO is, generally speaking, a very nutted game. And the reason is that you start with 4 cards instead of 2 in your hand. And so you don't just have 2 2-card hands. You have, let's say you have ace, king, queen, jack, right? And it's suited in diamonds, and it's suited in clubs, okay? So you have ace, king, you have ace, queen, you have ace, jack, you have king, queen, you have king, jack, and you have queen, jack. So that's 6 different 2-card hands that you're playing, plus the suits as well there. So there's a lot more, possibilities. There's a lot more coordination between hands. And so PLO, you're going to typically make much stronger hands, as will your opponents. And so when you're flopping top and bottom pair, when you're flopping bottom set, a full house that's not the nut full house, a flush that's not the nut flush, a lot of times you're going to be running into the nuts in this game. So you want to, especially when you're first starting out, you can, loose it up, and there are exceptions to the rules. But when you're first starting out, you want to either have the nuts or you want to be drawing to the nuts. Because if you're a new player and you're a Hold'em player and you're overvaluing those top and bottom pairs or the bottom 2 pairs, those are the people I'm making money off of. Those are the guys that are just putting their money in, and they're, in terrible shape equity-wise. And sometimes they'll win with those hands. Sometimes they'll get lucky. But a lot of times you're just going to be bleeding money. And so especially if you're brand new to PLO, when you first step into those streets, buy in for the minimum. Now, it's going to increase your variance because you're not going to have any fold equity, so you're going to be getting looked up and your hand is going to have to hold up. But the mistakes you make when you're first starting out will be much less costly when you're buying in for the minimum. And as you get more comfortable with hand strengths and ranges and so forth, you're going to be able to, buy in for more and kind of open up your ranges and be able to make more plays than just playing super tight. Viewers Mike and Decider99 asked why I always run it twice, and Mike had mentioned that he felt I was giving up some equity because typically I'm getting it in when I'm ahead. And so here's the thing. When you run it twice, you're not changing the equities at all. What you're changing is the variance. You're smoothing out the variance. So to give you an extreme example, and I've told this story a million times, and I may have even mentioned it on one of the vlogs. I don't know. This is episode 37. So there's a guy that I used to play with in Tampa, and he's very aggressive, and he only runs once. And I got it in against him on the turn with top 2 pair and the nut flush draw. He had king 9 4-4 with the king high flush draw. So mathematically speaking, he had 1 out. He needed to hit a 4 of spades with 1 card to come to beat me, because the 4 of clubs was going to flush us both. So equity wise, I have 97.5% equity. We're playing for stacks on the turn, and he only runs once. Now he has 1 out. If we run it twice, he can never scoop me. At best, he can win half the pot. The vast majority of the time, I'm going to win everything. Unfortunately, he ran once. He hit that 4 of spades, and now I get scooped. So that's an extreme example, but that is one of the examples that helps you to understand that if you are the equity favorite, it behooves you to run it as many times as you possibly can if you're not a fan of variance, because it's going to help you to get closer to your actual equity in the long run. This same player I had been in a hand with where at a different property in Tampa, but the flop was ace, king, queen with 2 clubs. He pots, and I had 10 jack in my hand for Broadway, and I had a 10 high flush draw. Or in my mind, they could have been blockers if I was up against a higher flush draw. So I repotted, and then he repotted all in. So we get all the money in on the flop, and he had ace 9-9-4 with the 9-4 of clubs. So he has a 9 high flush draw. That's what he was putting his money in, which is drawing completely dead to my 10 high flush draw. Mathematically there, the equities, I had 96%. He's 4% to win. The turn is a 9, giving him a set. And again, he only runs once, and the river paired the king. So he went runner, runner, full house. And that was the only way he could beat me. And so if I was running it twice, the chances of that happening are it's just not going to happen. So again, running it multiple times, it's not adjusting your equity. It's just smoothing out the variance. It's helping you to realize your equity. So if you could flip a coin for $1 million as a 70% favorite, you would want to do that as many times as you possibly could so that you could get to your equity, the 70% equity that you're owed. So $700,000 there. So that's why I like running it twice. Now, there are some, issues with it as well, in the sense that if your opponents know that you're running it twice, they can use it against you in some ways where they know that they can kind of push their luck and push their thinner edges, and they can run, some semi bluffs and some bluffs against you, because they know if they get called, you're going to run it twice. And so they have a chance to get bailed out maybe on the second board. So they may play more aggressive against you because they know you run it twice. So that is one of the, one of the cons or one of the negatives for running it twice. But I still prefer to run it twice. Some people will switch it up. Some people will, if they know that they are behind, they'll only run it once because that's really their only shot at scooping. And if they know they're ahead, they'll run it twice. So you get some people that like to switch on you. And in the past, my policy was, if you're going to switch it up on me, we're going once all the time. But I don't even do that anymore. My standard is I'm always willing to run it twice. And, if someone wants to switch it up, whatever, that's their deal. So anyway, that's a wrap for this one. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you in the next episode. After watching a video like this, sometimes I'll like it, sometimes I'll leave a comment, and sometimes I'll subscribe. Sometimes I'll even do all 3.